welcome to Beverly's. My name's Kathy, and today I'm going to show you how to do this little card. It can be a birthday card or an invitation. And I'm going to use the Big Shot and a Big's die from Sizzix called Cupcake and Cherry. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to begin with a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/4 inches by 8.5 inches. You're going to take that and score 2 inches up from the bottom and fold, and you're going to score it 2 5/8 inches from the top and fold it down. Place it on top of your template here, and you're going to want to be sure that the very top edge of the cupcake is showing and the very bottom edge so that you don't cut all the way through. I went ahead and sent that through the machine, and it popped out looking like this. We want to trim off these edges here, so let's go ahead and do that and trim off over here. Alrighty, and same for the top of our frosting. You just kind of freehand this part, and looks okay. Now, this feels a little flimsy to me for a card compared to what we ended up with over here. So I took a piece of cardstock that measured 4 by 4, placed my cupcake on it, and traced all the way around there. Looks like this. And I cut 1/8 of an inch inside that line, coming all the way around, and ended up with a cupcake like so. And we just want to make sure that that measures and fits behind there. Great. So go ahead, take some permanent adhesive, it makes all kinds of noises, and let's place that on there to match. Okay. Much better. Now for this little decorative piece inside, I took a piece of cardstock that's 1/2 inch by 4 inches, and I used my Fiskars paper edgers with the pinking blade and just trimmed that right off. Ended up with a piece looking like this. So let's put a little adhesive on there and cover over that perforation. Just kind of gives it a finished look. If you turn to the back of your card, it's much easier to trim off those edges. And this is a good point to go ahead and add your sentiment in there. Now, I had made this a birthday card, but you could really easily just have on the front, "You're so sweet," and inside put "Get well soon," or "You're so sweet, thank you." So the ideas are really limitless there. All right, let's set that aside for a second and talk about all of our decorator paper. I decided to use a pad from Basic Gray called Junebug. And the reason I selected a pad is because all the patterns and all the coloring is coordinated so that it really works well together. So I know that all the reds and the greens are going to blend and end up with a nice project. So let's actually send some things through the Big Shot machine so you have a chance to see how this really works. Let me pull this up here. Okay, for our cupcake paper, I cut a piece of cardstock. Well, I guess it's actually paper. It's 3 1/2 by 2 1/4 inches, and I place it right on top of the cupcake paper. Now let me interrupt myself for just a second to tell you that I've always mentioned before how you have the right side going down on your die, but because we're working with a whole bunch of different colors and I want you to see exactly what I'm doing, I'm choosing to do it right side up just for you to visually be able to see. If when you get ready to do it, you do all your papers upside down, make sure that you actually do your card upside down also, because this is not an asymmetrical cupcake and you're going to end up with papers that don't match up. So now that I've thoroughly confused you, let's stick this on top of here. Now your little piece of frosting up at the top is 1 1/4 inches by 3 inches. So stick that up there. We've got one clear plate on the bottom, our die on top with another clear plate, and then send it through like so, and it comes out, really just kind of falls apart. I'll just leave those there and do the same thing with the large piece of frosting, which measures 4 inches by 2 inches. And let's stick that right there. And our little piece of cherry, it's just like a 1-inch square. And you can go through the Big Shot in either direction. Okay. And little pieces. And our last little guy, that green stem, let's send him through. Okay. We're ready to put this guy together. Now, all these little pieces that come out, let's get the scraps out of the way here. Okay, here are all of our pieces. I went ahead and trimmed out some of these just to save us a little time here. So let's see what we've got. All right. Here is our little guy, and we want to put all this together. This little piece here on top, I just want to keep him flat. So I added a piece of clear tape. And let's add our permanent adhesive. And let me move this so you can see. Line that on top. Comes our frosting. You can only imagine this is lemon frosting. Alright, this bottom, I saved it so that I could do this with you guys and you get a more accurate picture. I lined this right up on that edge, but do you remember originally when I just kind of went in there and trimmed off the yellow cupcake? I want to make sure that this line matches. So it's going to be my guide to trim that off, just because I like things to line up just so. Alrighty, we'll put a little adhesive on that. Let me tell you a little something about the cherry guy. When you go to trim the cherry, they've given you a little bit of a guide right here, that little slit. In other words, so your cherry isn't whacked off across the top. You want it to go right along that line because cherries are nice, plump, little curved things up at the top. On your stem, don't trim it off because you're going to end up with things that don't want to glue together very well. So leave that at the back so you can put some adhesive on it, and your cherry will line up perfect like that. I'm going to use some 3D dots just to give this guy a little bit of dimension on the back of my cherry. Side or whatever. Now, let me tell you a little something about this little flower here. There is a flower that was in our die right over here, except I didn't use it because this June bug pad had a darling page of little flowers that were exactly the same kind of size. So I cut that out and I'm going to use foam dot for that. And you're all set with your sentiment inside. So thanks for stopping by.